From pure convenience to potential life-saving, the power bank is one of the most useful things you can carry. Here are 3 great options compared.
That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Power banks can be super useful. For work, it might be remote working from, say, a coffee shop. For travellers, it might be working from an airport or on a plane or a train. And for those who love the outdoors, it might even be a lifesaver. I'm thinking skiing, mountain biking, camping, maybe a festival, backpacking, through hiking, or any other outdoor adventure. And not forgetting a power cut or other emergency at home. So obviously most people think of a power bank for charging their screen-based tech, most notably their mobile phone. But let's not forget, if you were on a night camp or a through hike, then being able to recharge a flashlight could be vital as well. So power banks tend to be a trade-off between the power output, the size and the weight, and to some extent affordability. So ideally you want something at reasonable cost with maximum power output that is a manageable size and also a minimal weight. And to some extent that depends on what you're using it for. If you are carrying it to work and back, maybe weight and size is not such an issue, but it certainly would be if you were ultralight backpacking, or if you were on a long hike, or to some extent you had a limited amount of space. So with that in mind, I think an ideal capacity, if you are carrying it regularly or on long journeys, is around 10,000 milliamp hour. At that sort of capacity, you have a power bank that is useful, and by that I mean it can charge your mobile phone, say 2 or 3 times, yet it's not too heavy or too big. So for this comparison, I have 3 power banks that are all around the 10,000 milliamp hour capacity. We have an affordable option. We have a rugged, bash it about, drop it in a stream option. And we have the world's smallest and lightest option. So we have the Anker Powercore Slim 10,000 PD, that really trips off the tongue. We have the Goal Zero Venture 35, and we have the Nitecore NB10000. So here we have the Anker power bank. Now Anker are well known in this space around power banks and cables and so on, and they're known for affordability and quality. So this is our affordable option. So as you can see, it's pretty slim. Anker described this as their slimmest 10,000 milliamp hour power bank. I'm not sure if that's still the case because they're bringing out new models all the time, but it is pretty slim and it's also quite long. You'll notice it has 2 ports. It has a USB-A port and a USB-C port, which is marked with a PD or power delivery certification, and I'll come back to what PD means in a moment. It also has one press switch on here. When you press it, it has 4 LEDs and they show the charge status. And I can see here this has 3 out of the 4 lights, suggesting it is 75% charged. And these also light up when it is being charged. It also has another function, and that is if you press this switch twice, you'll see we get a green light coming on here for the first LED, and that basically switches this power bank to a low current output. So why would you want a low current charge? Well, some devices when they're charging draw very little power. Generally smaller devices with smaller batteries, and in some cases they draw so little power that the power bank switches off. Now you don't want that if you're charging something with a very small battery. If you force this into low power mode, then it will trickle charge whatever's plugged in there at below 0.5 amp and make sure it doesn't switch off when it is charging at that lower level. So the low current charge mode is nice to have, and to switch it off you press it twice again. So with the Anker, the power outputs on the 2 ports are 12 watts for the USB-A and up to 20 watts for the USB-C. And that 20 watts is enough apparently to charge something like an iPhone 12 to 50% capacity in 30 minutes. So that is a pretty decent rate of charge. If you have something like an 18 watt mains charger, you can recharge the power bank itself in around 4.5 hours. The material on this is some form of plastic. Apparently it's fire resistant. In terms of operational temperature, The information says just avoid extremes. So nothing wrong in this at all. It's an affordable, quality, well-made, capable power bank. And that's pretty much it for the Anker. I'm going to compare size and weight when I have all three power banks together. So here we have the Goal Zero. As you can see, it is a very different approach to a power bank. This is all about rugged use. This is rubberized on all corners, so no matter where it falls, when you drop it, it should bounce. It does have aluminium here with some fins on here to no doubt support cooling. It has a waterproof cover over the ports, and that means this can be dropped into water up to 1 meter deep and left for 30 minutes without any water ingress, and that is an IPX7 standard. So if you need a power bank that can cope with a lot of abuse, this looks like a great option. In addition to that, it also has a built-in flashlight. So that is ideal for use in an emergency. It's only 50 lumens and this is 9,600 milliamp hour. So if you used it purely as a flashlight, that should last days. It's not a brilliant flashlight. It's not got any reflector on it, so it's kind of more of an ambient light, but it's a nice feature to have. When you lift the waterproof cover, you can see we have 3 ports here, 2 USB-A and 1 USB-C. The USB-C port here, although it doesn't say on the device itself, according to the instructions, conforms to the power delivery standard. You also have a switch here. When you press it briefly, you can see we've got 4 blue lights here, and those 4 blue lights determine the battery voltage, both when it's charging and when it's charged. So you can see here that this one is 100% charged. The switch also activates the flashlight. You simply press and hold it for a couple of seconds and the flashlight comes on, and then press and hold it again and the flashlight goes off. It feels really good quality. It's quite heavy compared to the Anker. It's nicely designed and I think it looks really good too. In terms of power output, both USB-A ports can deliver up to 15 watts and the USB-C port can deliver up to 18 watts. And the maximum capacity of this power bank is 9,600 milliamps, so a little bit behind the Anker. And for those that are interested, I understand the power source in here consists of 3 18650 lithium-ion batteries. And according to the information, the operational temperature can be between 0 degrees and 45 degrees. And then we have the Nitecore NB10000. Now Nitecore are well known for making some of the best flashlights out there, so they are obviously well versed in battery technology. Now what makes this different is that it doesn't use lithium ion cells, it uses lithium polymer cells. And the great thing about lithium polymer is that it has a higher power density than lithium ion and therefore is a lighter weight option. So if you fly drones, you will have lithium polymer batteries because they give more power for weight. So it's nice to see lithium polymer power in here. It shows there is a focus on getting the weight down. And in addition to that, you can see we have carbon fiber material here. Again, super lightweight and also super strong. So a really nicely engineered and in my view, a really nice looking, very simple design. But for me, that works really well. I'm a big fan of form following function, and this feels really solid. It feels like there's no space in here at all. It's nicely put together, lightweight for what it is, obviously very compact. In terms of the ports, you have 2 ports on here, a USB-A and a USB-C. Both unusually are capable of delivering 18 watts of power output, and like the other power banks, the USB-C is a bidirectional port where you charge the power bank through it, and it is also used to charge things from it. You'll notice here we have a switch. When I press it, you can see 3 blue lights. You have to get the angle right to see them properly, and that shows it's fully charged. If you press and hold this button, you'll notice we also get a white LED, and that is switching it to trickle charge mode or low power output mode. This is the same mode that we found on the Anker power bank. You switch it to low power mode and it limits the power output, which is great for recharging small devices with small batteries, and stops the power bank switching off when the charging current gets very low. And that light stays on to show that it's in low power mode, and you press and hold the switch to switch it off. So now we're back into full power mode. Also with the Nitecore, the operational temperature range is a bit broader than the other two. It will run from -10 degrees to +40 degrees. It also has lots of safety features built in, which include overcurrent protection, short circuit protection, over discharge protection, overcharge protection, over voltage protection, and thermal protection. So in short, a very capable, compact and lightweight power bank. And according to Nitecore, for a 10,000 milliamp hour battery, this is the smallest and lightest in the world today. So the power delivery standard is a standard that you will see across several devices and mains chargers and power banks. And it points to the fact that these ports, which are USB-C, are bidirectional. So in the case of this power bank, you charge the power bank through that port and you can charge other devices from that port. And it manages the charging process to avoid any overcharging or overheating or anything like that. And in addition to that, the power delivery ports are generally capable of more power, so they're generally a quick charge standard. And in a power bank like this, that's normally about 18 watts. But some of the bigger power banks can go up to 60 watts, which is what you would need, say, to charge a laptop quickly. In addition, the power delivery ports can output more than the standard USB 5 volts. The USB-C can deliver anything from 5 to 20 volts. So where you see PD, it generally means carefully managed charging and quick charging. Okay, let's get them side by side and compare them for size and weight. Let's look at weight first. So the Anker comes in at 210 grams. The Goal Zero, 287 grams, so quite a bit heavier. And the Nitecore, 152 grams. They claim it's 150 grams in the information. This is showing 152 grams. Either way, it's considerably lighter than the other two, and you can really feel it in the hand. So there we have it in terms of weight. There we have it in terms of length, and there we have it in terms of thickness. So when it comes to size and weight, the Nitecore truly is in a different league. In terms of prices, it won't surprise you to hear that the most affordable is the Anker. This cost me about £36. The other two are more expensive because you've got more features and functionality. The Goal Zero costs about £60 and the Nitecore costs about £58. And if you want to know more, I have links to all of these options in the description below the video. Well, in short, you can't go wrong with any of these. They all have their place. So if affordability is your key driver and you just want a very functional, quality, reliable power bank, then you can't go far wrong with the Anker. I have lots of Anker power banks, including two of these, and a whole variety of different sizes, and they've never let me down. Clearly, the Goal Zero is for those who are embarking on more adventurous pursuits. So anywhere where there is a good chance you are going to drop this, or where there's any water involved. Off the top of my head, I'm thinking canoeing or some form of water sports, potentially by the coast on the beach. Maybe rock climbing, things like that, where there's a good chance you might drop this or submerge it. Also, the fact that it's got 3 ports means that you can charge more devices simultaneously, although at a slower rate, but that's useful nonetheless. And this is the only one with a flashlight built in, and if that is important, that could be a reason in itself to go for this. And then we have the Nitecore. Now this really appeals to me because I'm always looking for compact solutions that are lightweight, particularly if you're talking about carrying this often or for a long time or over long distances. The other thing worth noting with this is it will work down to -10 degrees. So if you are using it when skiing, it's nice to have a lightweight pack. And this might be the only one that works for you as the temperature drops. So that's worth bearing in mind. Also, if I'm mountain biking, I want to carry minimal weight. And if I'm on a hike, then weight is also a key factor. The fact that it's also tough, made out of carbon fibre and delivers 18 watts from both ports are bonus features for me, as is the low power charge mode. So on balance, this is my favourite out of these three, but they are all good and they all have a purpose. The point I'd like to get across is seriously consider carrying a power bank when you're out and about. In terms of general travel, it can be super useful. You know, we've all been caught at an airport or maybe stuck on a train when your phone is running out of power at a time when you probably need it most to contact people. And having a power bank can create huge peace of mind in those sort of situations. But if you are skiing or mountain biking or taking part in any more risky outdoor sports, particularly if you're alone, then this could be a lifesaver. If you get caught out in the weather and need to do an unplanned overnight, you want to make sure you can contact people, you want to make sure you can power a flashlight. And a power bank for me is always a vital part of my kit. And let's not forget, if you get a power cut at home or some unplanned emergency where you might not have access to power, then again, a power bank could be super useful. In terms of travel, if you're planning to carry a power bank on a flight, then you need to know that you can't take more than 2 power banks on a flight, and they have to be in your hand luggage, and the maximum capacity has to be under 27,000 milliamp hours, which is quite a lot. But airlines don't allow you to carry power banks in your checked-in luggage because there is always a risk of fire. Also, when it comes to purchasing a power bank, I would always avoid the very low cost options. If you're looking at something that is really cheap, there is always a risk associated with that, because cheaper means less quality in terms of the circuitry and also the battery. And the risk with all of these is one of fire. Even the top brands can get it wrong. Sometimes you only have to look at the Galaxy S7, which had a habit of setting on fire, and before that there was a Sony laptop battery that was also a fire risk. So if the big brands can get it wrong, then in my view, you don't want to be cutting corners when it comes to cost on something like this. Plus, of course, if you've spent £1,000 on a mobile phone, then you don't really want to be cutting corners on a power bank that you're going to plug into it, because if it's not controlling the charge well, then you are potentially putting your expensive tech at risk. So for both those reasons, I would always suggest going for a recognised brand, look at the reviews and make sure you're not cutting corners on quality. In terms of this review, the Anker is owned by me along with various other Anker power banks. Goal Zero reached out to me through their importer and asked me if I'd like to try this power bank out, so that timed in nicely for this review. And with regard to the Nitecore, I was very keen to include this in this comparison, and I reached out to Nitecore and they were good enough to send me this sample. So there you have it, 3 great power bank options. I hope that's been useful. If you've enjoyed the video, please hit the like button. It really helps the channel. Thank you as always for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.